What happens when Donald Trump interrupts Barack Obama's live town hall, only to be silenced by one single sentence that the whole country can't stop replaying? It began as a calm Tuesday evening in Phoenix, Arizona. But before the hour ended, America had witnessed something unforgettable. The camera lights glowed warm against Barack Obama's face. His jacket was open, his tie loosened just enough to look relaxed. The crowd loved it. They had come to hear him speak about democracy, hope, and the power of people to shape their country. The moderator smiled as he read the next question from the audience. It was all going perfectly until his earpiece crackled. Mr. President, he said nervously, turning toward the camera, we've just been informed that President Trump is calling in. For a moment, no one moved. Then the gasps came, soft at first, then spreading like ripples through the hall. A few people whispered. Others pulled out their phones, already recording. This wasn't planned. No one had expected the sitting president to interrupt a live event hosted by his predecessor. Not on national TV. Behind the glass wall, the producers panicked. "Do we take the call?" one shouted. The control room filled with chaos, screens flashing, hands waving. But on stage, Obama stayed calm. He leaned back slightly in his chair, one hand on the armrest, the other resting against his chin. "Put him through," Obama said finally, his voice even. Calm, the same tone Americans had missed since 2016. The big screen behind the stage flickered. Then came the unmistakable voice. "Barack, I had to call in!" Trump's voice boomed, sharp and loud through the speakers. "I'm watching this. It's a disgrace. A total disgrace. You're talking about democracy when under your administration, jobs were disappearing everywhere. Under me, we had the best economy in history. People know it. Everyone knows it." The audience shifted in their seats. Some laughed awkwardly. Others whispered, "Is this real?" Obama didn't answer right away. He turned to the moderator with a faint smile, then looked back at the crowd. "Well," he said slowly, "looks like we've got company tonight." Laughter filled the room, easing the tension, but only for a moment. Because everyone could sense what was coming next. Trump's voice came again, louder. "People remember how bad it was before me. Manufacturing was dead. China was eating us alive. I came in and fixed it. The numbers don't lie. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And now you're sitting there pretending you did something good. You didn't, Barack. People know the truth." The words hit like punches. It was classic Trump, bold, blunt, and built for headlines. But this wasn't a campaign rally. It was a clash of two presidencies, live, unscripted, and impossible to look away from. Obama sat still, his expression unreadable. Then, he leaned forward just a little, hands clasped together. "Mr. President," he said quietly, every word deliberate, "I think the American people care less about who shouts the loudest, and more about who actually tells them the truth." The crowd erupted in applause. Some people stood up. The moderator almost smiled with relief, but Trump's voice roared again, trying to seize control. "You know, you talk about truth, but people saw what you did. You spied on me. Everyone knows it. You and your people." Obama didn't interrupt. He just waited. That was his power. Silence. And the longer he stayed quiet, the smaller Trump's voice seemed to sound through those giant studio speakers. Then Obama spoke again, softly. "Don't worry, Donald. I've been called worse." The audience burst into laughter. Even the moderator couldn't hide a grin. Trump tried again, but now the momentum had shifted. Obama's calm had turned into something magnetic. His tone was low, measured, the voice of control. "Here's the thing," Obama said. "When people are confident in what they've done, they don't need to interrupt others to prove it. They let their work speak for itself." Another wave of applause. Cameras flashed. Social media lit up instantly. Millions of people were already replaying the clip again and again. But while the audience was laughing, something else was brewing, something much darker. Because miles away in Washington, D.C., someone else was watching that live broadcast, and she wasn't laughing at all. Inside the East Wing of the White House, the walls felt heavy, the air thick with tension. Staffers moved quietly, avoiding eye contact. Everyone knew the First Lady was upset, but no one dared to say why. When the door to her private office shut, the sound echoed down the hallway. Melania Trump sat behind a gleaming desk, a glass of water untouched beside her. Her eyes were fixed on a folder she'd been holding for hours, the leaked DNA report. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages again. "This is about Barron," she said sharply, her accent slicing through the silence. "They want to destroy my son." Across the room, her senior advisor Raymond Hall stood rigid. "First Lady, we can handle this," he said carefully. "Leaks happen all the time in Washington." Melania slammed her palm on the table. "This is not some rumor about shoes or dresses. This is my family." Her voice cracked, part fury, part fear. For years she had kept her composure, smiling in public while ignoring gossip in private. But this was different. This was about her child. Raymond swallowed hard. "Ma'am, we can discredit it. Say it's fake. Call it political." Melania shook her head. "No, we find who did this. I want names." Her assistant, a young woman named Charlotte, spoke softly. "We're looking, ma'am. But whoever leaked it, they covered their tracks." Melania turned to the window, her reflection faint in the glass. Outside, the lights of Washington glowed like stars over a city built on secrets. "You know what they don't understand?" she said quietly. "They think I am weak because I stay silent. But silence can be power too." Her words lingered in the air like a warning. That night, the White House staff swore they heard something shatter upstairs. Maybe a vase, maybe a glass. Nobody asked. No one wanted to, because when the First Lady of the United States decides she's been betrayed, things start to move fast. The next morning, just after sunrise, a motorcade slipped out from the White House gates, unmarked, unannounced. It headed not to a press event, but to a discreet law office downtown. Inside, Raymond Hall sat with two lawyers at a long conference table. On the table lay the same folder Melania had been gripping hours before. "We've got two options," one lawyer said finally. "We discredit, or we distract." "Distract?" Hall frowned. The lawyer nodded. "Create a bigger story. Something so loud that this leak disappears beneath it." Hall rubbed his temple. "And if it doesn't? Then we deny everything until people move on." He knew that tactic. It was Washington's oldest game, bury one scandal under another. But this one was personal. He looked down at the folder. "She wants it erased," he said quietly. "Not denied, erased." The lawyers exchanged looks. "That's not possible," one muttered. But Melania Trump didn't believe in impossible. Back at the White House, Charlotte brought bad news. "Ma'am," she said, standing near the doorway. "It's already online. Small accounts for now, but spreading fast." Melania didn't flinch. She just whispered, "Then shut it down." "How?" Charlotte asked softly. "Call them all. The platforms. The editors. Whoever you must. I don't care if it takes threats or favors." "No one repeats this story," Charlotte hesitated. "Ma'am." "Do it," Melania said coldly. The air in the room dropped like ice. By noon, quiet calls were being made to newsroom executives, to digital platforms, to anyone who could slow the spread. But in Washington, secrets don't stay buried for long. By evening, a journalist in Texas had already received the full report in his inbox. And he wasn't the only one. He stared at the document, his heart racing. "If I publish this," he whispered, "the whole country will explode." But before he could decide, another woman was already watching the story unfold from her office in Dallas, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She read the early reports, the whispers, the hints of panic in the East Wing. Then she looked up at her team and said calmly, "This isn't just gossip. This is about power and what people will do to keep it." Her staff exchanged glances. They knew that tone. When Jasmine Crockett spoke like that, someone powerful was about to be held accountable. When Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett spoke those words, "This is about power and what people will do to keep it," no one in the room moved. Her team knew what came next. When Jasmine decided to uncover something, she didn't stop until the truth stood naked in front of the whole country. The Dallas night outside her office was calm. Inside, the air buzzed with energy. Phones were ringing, screens glowing, coffee cups forgotten. Her aides gathered around the long conference table, eyes on the projector. Jasmine stood at the head, hands on the table, her voice steady. "Tell me everything we know so far. Facts only, no guessing." Marcus Bellamy, her sharp-minded research aide, switched slides. The document first appeared in a secure medical email chain. Someone forwarded it. We don't know who. After that, it spread quickly. At least 3 reporters have copies, but none have published yet. Why not? Jasmine asked. They're scared, Marcus replied. The First Lady's legal team has already started making calls. Threats of lawsuits. People don't want to lose their jobs. Jasmine smiled, a small, knowing smile. Scared? That's what power wants. Fear. That's how they stay untouchable. Her staff exchanged uneasy glances. They'd seen this side of her before. Calm, but dangerous to anyone hiding the truth. Lena Ortiz, her communications director, spoke next. We're hearing reports that Melania's been furious, shouting at staff, even threatening resignations. It's bad, Jasmine tilted her head. Good. Anger means she's worried. And if she's worried, it means there's something here worth digging into. The room went quiet for a moment. Then Jasmine continued softly. We don't go after Barron. He's a child. He's off limits. But when someone in power uses privacy as a shield for lies, the public has a right to know. This isn't about gossip. It's about accountability. She paused, her voice lower now, every word clear and slow. So we find out what they're hiding, and we do it the right way. Marcus nodded. What's the plan? Simple, Jasmine said. We make them choose. Either they tell the truth, or we make the silence louder than the lie. By morning, Washington was already waking up to a storm. News anchors spoke in careful tones. Sources say the First Lady is under pressure after a private document leak, one said. But the real shock came when Jasmine Crockett walked out of her office that same morning. Facing dozens of microphones and cameras, she didn't look nervous. She looked ready. Secrecy, she began calmly, is the favorite tool of the powerful. When documents leak or when people speak up, that isn't chaos. That's democracy doing its job. When leaders rush to bury the truth, we should all ask, what are they afraid of us knowing? Reporters scribbled furiously. The clip hit television within an hour. In Washington, Melania watched the statement in silence. Her jaw tightened. Next to her, Raymond Hall spoke carefully. She's clever. She's not naming you directly, but everyone knows who she's talking about. Melania didn't blink. Then we fight back harder. That afternoon, inside the Rayburn House office building, tension was thick enough to taste. Jasmine Crockett was scheduled to speak at a subcommittee hearing on transparency in government. But everyone knew, this was no routine hearing. Camera crews filled the hallways. Reporters whispered, checking their notes. Do you think she'll bring up the DNA leak? One asked. Across the city, the East Wing staff gathered around televisions. Melania's team watched anxiously. Hall leaned forward, his hands clasped. If she mentions the First Lady, we're finished. The hearing began quietly. Routine introductions, polite statements. Then Jasmine took the microphone. She adjusted it once calmly and began. America doesn't just run on laws, she said. It runs on trust. And when the people in power start treating truth as optional, that trust fades, little by little, until one day, it's gone. The room stilled. Even the congressman known for interrupting stayed silent. Time and again, she continued, we've seen leaders hide behind closed doors, demanding silence, demanding loyalty, and punishing those who speak out. That's not strength. That's fear dressed up as leadership, a few gasps echoed. Cameras zoomed in. Congresswoman, one member interrupted, we're here to discuss government contracts, not personal matters. Jasmine smiled slightly. Exactly, she said. And transparency isn't a personal matter. It's a national one. Whether it's a contract, a classified file, or a private report hidden to protect political families, the pattern is the same. Cover it up. Silence the dissent. Hope nobody asks questions. Murmurs filled the chamber. She lifted a folder. Within 48 hours of a certain report circulating, she said, tapping it, calls were made to editors and platforms, pressuring them to bury it. If this report was meaningless, why such urgency to erase it? No names, no direct accusations. But everyone knew who she meant. Cameras clicked. Reporters ran for the exits to file stories. At the White House, Melania's fingers dug into the armrest of her chair. "She's exploiting this," she hissed. Hall tried to calm her. "She's framing it as transparency. If we attack, it'll look like we're hiding something." Melania turned to him slowly. "And if we stay silent, we look guilty." She stood up. "Prepare a response." By nightfall, Jasmine's speech dominated the news cycle. Every channel replayed the same line again and again. The truth doesn't need protection if it can stand on its own. People across America watched and nodded. In diners, offices, and homes, ordinary citizens debated the same question. If the First Lady had nothing to hide, why was she so angry? The story had shifted. It wasn't about Barron anymore. It was about power, about honesty, about what the people deserved to know. Social media exploded. On talk shows, commentators called Jasmine fearless. Others said she had gone too far. But everyone was talking about her. In Dallas, her team watched the reactions in real time. Marcus grinned. "You've gone national. Approval ratings up 6 points overnight." Jasmine didn't smile. "This isn't about approval. It's about truth. Remember that." At that same moment, deep inside the White House, Melania met privately with Hall and Charlotte. The curtains were drawn. The room glowed with soft golden light. "She's not stopping," Melania said. "She thinks I'll stay quiet." Hall hesitated. "We can still control this. A public statement about privacy, maybe. You as a mother, not as First Lady. That will win sympathy." Melania looked out the window. "Sympathy doesn't last." "Strength does," Charlotte spoke softly. "Then what should we do, ma'am?" Melania turned back to them. "We remind them who they're dealing with." Her tone sent a chill through the room. Within hours, her staff was drafting a controlled video message. No anger, no accusations, just calm, composed words, spoken straight to camera. When it aired the next day, millions watched. "I've always believed children should be off limits," Melania said in a measured tone. "People in power should not use rumors to hurt families. My son deserves privacy. I will always protect him." The video was only 2 minutes long, but it took over the headlines. Supporters called it graceful. Critics said it dodged the issue. In Dallas, Jasmine's staff watched the broadcast. Marcus frowned. "She's using emotion. It's smart. Makes her look strong and caring." Jasmine crossed her arms. "Maybe, but sympathy can't erase secrecy. She's still hiding something." The following morning, every newspaper carried 2 faces on the front page, Jasmine Crockett and Melania Trump. One symbolizing transparency, the other protection. America was divided. Again. Inside the communications office, Hall's voice trembled. "We can't attack her directly. If we do, it proves her point." Melania nodded slowly. "Then we'll find another way. We turn her own words against her." That afternoon, Melania met with her media strategist. The man slid a paper across the table. "We leak this," he said. A story about how Crockett used sensitive information for political gain. "It'll muddy the waters." Melania looked down at the draft headline. "Congresswoman under fire for leaking confidential documents." She didn't smile, but her eyes hardened. "Do it," the man nodded. Within hours, anonymous quotes appeared online. Sources close to the First Lady accused Crockett of endangering national security. By evening, news tickers were already running the headline, but Jasmine was ready. When reporters called for her comment, she simply said, "The truth doesn't need bodyguards. It just needs daylight." Her voice played on every channel, every podcast, every phone. And somewhere in the East Wing, Melania's glass cracked softly against the table as she set it down. The war of words had officially begun. But this time it wasn't just about politics. It was about truth, power, and two women standing on opposite sides of history, one fighting to hide, the other refusing to stay quiet. The sun rose over Washington, painting the White House in pale gold. Inside, the East Wing felt colder than ever. Melania Trump stood by the window, phone in hand, scrolling through headlines that repeated the same question: who's telling the truth? She looked exhausted but determined. Across the room, Raymond Hall entered quietly. "It's getting worse," he said. "The networks are running Crockett's quote on repeat." Melania turned. "Which one?" Hall hesitated. "The one that says, 'The truth doesn't need bodyguards. It's everywhere.' People are saying she's fearless." Melania exhaled slowly. "Fearless?" "No, reckless." Hall frowned. "Ma'am, this could hurt her too. We can push the idea that she's using this for fame, that she's exploiting your family." Melania's voice was calm but sharp. "Do it carefully. I want her to doubt herself. I want her to wonder if she went too far." Hall nodded. "Yes, ma'am." He left the room. But as the door shut, Melania whispered to herself, "No one humiliates me and walks away untouched." Across the country, in Dallas, Jasmine Crockett was finishing a live interview when her aide, Marcus, rushed in. "Congresswoman," he said, holding his phone out. "You need to see this." She glanced at the screen. A headline flashed across it. "Crockett accused of politicizing private family matter." Her jaw tightened. "They're trying to paint me as heartless." Marcus nodded. "It's working with some audiences. You're being called opportunistic." Jasmine stood quietly for a moment, then said, "We don't fight lies with anger. We fight them with proof." She turned to her communications director, Lena. "Set up a press conference. Today. Full transparency." Lena blinked. "About what exactly?" "About everything," Jasmine said. "They're hiding behind the idea of privacy. I'll show them what accountability really looks like." 2 hours later, Washington buzzed again. Cameras surrounded the Capitol steps. Reporters shouted questions, their voices overlapping. When Jasmine Crockett stepped up to the podium, the noise faded. She wore a simple navy suit, no jewelry, no theatrics, just truth in her tone. "I've been accused of politicizing a private matter," she began. "Let me be clear. This is not about one family. It's about how power reacts when the public starts asking questions. The moment people in charge start silencing others, democracy begins to crumble." She held up a folder. Inside this are emails and call logs showing efforts to pressure editors and social media companies to bury a story. Not because it was false, but because it was inconvenient. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras zoomed in. She placed the folder on the podium. "I will be turning these over to the Oversight Committee. Because no one, not even the First Lady, is above accountability." Reporters erupted into questions. "Congresswoman, are you accusing the White House of censorship?" Jasmine didn't flinch. "I'm not accusing. I'm exposing." In the East Wing, Melania watched the broadcast with frozen composure. Every word, every sentence hit like a knife. "Turn it off," she said quietly. Charlotte reached for the remote but hesitated. "Ma'am, this could get out of control if we don't respond quickly." Melania turned to her slowly. "Do you think I don't know that?" She walked toward her desk, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. "Schedule an interview. I'll speak myself. No scripts. No advisors," Hall paled. "Ma'am, that's risky." "I said schedule it," she interrupted. That evening, every major network interrupted programming for a rare, live address from the First Lady. The setting was elegant but simple. A cream-colored armchair, soft lighting, and a single American flag behind her. Melania took a deep breath before speaking. "For many years, I have respected the role of public service. I have endured criticism, lies, and mockery, and I stayed silent. But silence has been mistaken for weakness. That ends today." She leaned forward slightly. "Congresswoman Crockett has made dangerous claims about me and my family. She hides behind words like transparency, but what she's doing is cruelty disguised as virtue." Her tone hardened. "My son Barron has nothing to do with politics. And those who use his name for their gain, they should be ashamed." She paused. I will not allow my child to become a victim of Washington's hunger for spectacle. Her eyes glistened as she finished. You may question me, but leave my family alone. The camera faded out. The clip dominated television within minutes. Some viewers saw strength. Others saw deflection. But everyone saw emotion, a rare human moment from someone known for control. In Dallas, Jasmine's team watched the broadcast silently. Marcus spoke first. It's powerful. People are feeling sympathy again. Jasmine nodded slowly. Yes, but sympathy fades when truth appears. Lena looked uneasy. Do we respond? Jasmine looked out the window at the fading orange sky. Not yet. Let the silence work. Let people think. She knew the game. The longer she stayed quiet, the more people would talk. And talking was how truth spread. 2 days later, an email arrived at Jasmine's office. No sender name. Just one line in the subject. You should know what really happened. Inside was an attachment, a document labeled East Wing Internal Log.pdf. Marcus opened it carefully. His eyes widened. Congresswoman, this is it. It's proof. Direct communication from the First Lady's office ordering suppression of the leak. Jasmine stared at the screen. Are we sure it's real? Marcus nodded. It's signed by Hall himself. She leaned back slowly. Then it's over, but she knew it wasn't that simple. This wasn't just about proof. It was about how and when to reveal it. That evening, Jasmine sat alone in her office. The city lights glowed through the window, reflecting on the glass table in front of her. She whispered to herself, Truth doesn't destroy people. Lies do. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It read, Be careful. Some truths are dangerous. She stared at it for a long moment, then deleted it. Meanwhile, in the White House, Raymond Hall stormed into Melania's office. We have a problem, he said breathlessly. Someone leaked our internal logs. It's spreading fast. I think they're real. Melania's face went pale. Who? We don't know yet. But if Crockett has them, she'll go public soon. Melania turned toward the window. Then I'll beat her to it. What do you mean? Hall asked. I'll tell the truth myself. On my terms, Hall shook his head. Ma'am, that could destroy— It could save me, she interrupted. The next morning, a press alert went out. First Lady to hold emergency briefing at noon. Every network cut to the White House. Cameras rolled as Melania stepped up to the podium in the East Room. She looked calm, almost serene. I know there has been much discussion about a private document, she began. Yes, a report exists, but it was incomplete and taken out of context. My family has nothing to hide. What I cannot accept is the effort to twist facts for political theater. She took a deep breath. I was angry. I tried to protect my son the only way I knew, through silence and control. Maybe that was a mistake, but every mother here knows what it feels like to fear for your child. Her voice softened. I will not apologize for being a mother first. The room was silent. Then, from the back, a reporter shouted, Mrs. Trump, do you admit to ordering editors to suppress the story? Melania looked up. Yes, she said simply, I did. Because I thought I could contain pain. But pain doesn't stay contained. There was a collective gasp. Cameras flashed. She added quietly, maybe Congresswoman Crockett was right. Truth doesn't need protection. It needs courage. And with that, she stepped away from the microphone. The country exploded. News outlets ran with the confession. Talk shows debated her honesty. Some praised her for finally admitting the truth. Others called it calculated. In Dallas, Jasmine watched the broadcast silently. For the first time, she looked tired. Not defeated. Just human. Marcus said softly, You won, Congresswoman. Jasmine shook her head. No, the truth won. That's enough. She stood by the window, watching the sun rise. Across America, people replayed the clip again and again, the one moment where two powerful women, on opposite sides, both told the truth in their own way. Later that week, Barack Obama was asked during an interview about the town hall incident that had started everything. He smiled gently and said, Sometimes the loudest noise in politics comes right before the quiet that brings real change. The interviewer leaned in. Do you think that's what happened here? Obama chuckled softly. I think America heard something it needed to hear. That the truth, once spoken, can silence even the loudest voice. That night, televisions across the nation replayed the moment over and over. The moment Donald Trump's interruption faded into history, and one calm sentence from Barack Obama set off a chain reaction that changed everything. The final image froze on the screen. Obama smiling, Crockett standing tall, and Melania walking away from the podium, her head high. No longer silent, a narrator's voice closed the broadcast. Power can shape stories. But truth shapes history. If you watched till the end, thank you. Like this video? Share it with someone who still believes truth matters, and subscribe for more stories that remind us silence can be broken, and courage always speaks louder.